Okay, okay, let's start. Okay, because of the rain, I guess not many of you showed up, but it's okay. It's like, I think they'll probably make announcements tomorrow, won't have class or something like that, because it's actually a pretty big rain out. So okay, before we start, I want you to pay attention to your finals, okay? So I have a session over here. It says final presentation upload area, okay? So you're supposed to have like a 2-pager A4 portfolio in PDF format. 5-minute presentation in English, okay? Up here with the mic, okay? So, well, if you want to do more than 2 pages, that would be fine. If you want to, have more stuff to show, that would be fine. Okay. So the minimum 2-pager and 5-minute presentation explaining what you did and some something about your content. Okay, so that's that, and I also have the list ready for you. So we actually have like around almost 80 students here in class, so that's a lot. So I'll have like 20 each week, okay? So that will take up all the time. So we'll have like 4 weeks of presentation, okay? So let's start from the 16th of December until the end of the semester, okay? So that will last 4 weeks. So the 4 week only like 16, 17, yeah, that's like, okay, 80, yeah, 78, 76 students. So make sure to see which week you present. If you have any problem presenting that week, let me know ahead of time. I'll do some switching and yeah. So follow the list and then be notified like which week you're supposed to present. Okay, so it's in the final presentation session. So you're supposed to upload your finished work and check which week you're presenting. So pretty simple, right? Okay, so yeah, so let's begin our course for today. So today I want you to like duplicate this pen. Looks complicated, so you have the file already. So let me show you how to do it. Okay, so of course we open up Illustrator. So yeah.
Do you still open Google Meet? Google Meet.
Google Meet. Yeah. Google Meet. Yeah. Yeah. Google Meet this.
Individually.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. So there's probably a lot of you doing Google Meet. So it's open. If well, today it's pretty special. A lot of you like go online. So yeah, so I want to have a new file. So this would be any size A4 as a default would do, a vertical, and the rest just the same. So create, okay? So so I want to have that image placed into my file, okay? So this pen over here, it's a realistic pen. So a little bit big, so you want to resize it so that it's so you can put it in the workspace. Okay, that's a nice size. Okay, notice that it's slanted so that it's sometimes it's hard to work on because it's you want to work in a straight line. It's easier. So what you want to do is rotate the canvas. Okay, so you go to the tool, one of the tools over here. I believe I talked about this last week. The rotate view. Okay, so it's under the hand. Okay, there's a rotate view tool. Okay, so if you select that, you'll be able to rotate your canvas. Okay, so I want to get it maybe make the at least the pen straight so it's easier to work on. Okay, but before we trace anything, as you know, we want to uh, have it in another, no, have it in a transparent, you know, have it like half transparent, around like 40%, and then have another layer. Okay, so put the pen above whatever layer you have. Okay, then work on the layer underneath. Lock it, of course, work underneath. Okay, so first you want to, okay, before we do anything, before I do any transparency, one thing is that, okay, select the pen, make it 100%. Have the same pen aside so you could see the color of the, if you can use the eyedrop tool to just, get the color from the image. Okay, then 40 or 50% transparency, lock your layer. Okay, we work underneath. Okay, so I want to zoom in at this pen. Okay, so to get the shape of it. We always want to work, on your from bottom up. So I could see that the structure of the pen is like I work from the rod over here, and then to there's like a gradient on the side, and then two black strips on top. Okay, so you want to work your way up. Okay, and then all these lines, these are not, you don't have to do exact the same, especially there are some, reflections of, certain part of something else. So you don't need to do that if you don't want to. So of course, this is just a practice. So you want to dissect the pen, okay? So you want to work probably on the rod first. So the rod seems to be similar from from up here all the way down there, okay? So I want to make a base shape, okay? So use the pen tool to, okay, I'll probably start from the top, okay, right here, okay, all the way to this area here, okay, and then skip, okay, I'll probably do something like this. There's like many ways you could trace this. Okay, so I want to have like a base uh, for the pen. Okay, so I probably want to use the eyedrop tool. Okay, and then give it a base color. Okay, let's say this gray color over here. Okay, so it's underneath the image, so you can see like what you're tracing. Okay, so then you want to dissect these gradients and these different sections and parts. Okay, so there's sort of like a small gradient right there. So, but before that, let me trace trace the black area. So we do the ring later, okay? So that seems to be, okay, then you want to eyedrop tool on the black color. Okay, and then the ring will work on it later on. So just the metal base, the silver area. Okay, so of course you put a little bit of the rim and then have all these like that. Okay, so the large one over here, bent a little bit, it has a little curve all the way up here. And right there, just this little curve on the side. Actually, the black, I shouldn't work the black area now because there's actually, if you look at it, there are shapes underneath. So that's okay. So let's determine like which shape to do first. Like there's like a gradient there. And then it could be like a whole piece of gradient. So let's do that white area last. And then there's this gradient on the left. Let's make a large gradient, okay? So let's select that rod again and go to our gradients, okay? So the first, you want to have your gradient from left to right at this point, okay? So of course, you can add colors. The first one would be, okay, the one on the side, okay, and then second color could go right there. And there's a third one, this dark area right here. And let's have that white one. Okay, and then one in the middle. And maybe right there, and then go to the side and have that black one change into the border line on the right. Yes, right there. Okay, so that's the base gradient. If you go back and look at it, go and turn off the top layer. Yeah, get sort of like a gradient, but you know, without the highlights. Okay, so that's probably the base. Okay, so then you want to work on the highlights, and you probably want to correct some of the content of your gradient. Okay, so the white area should, sometimes you should like, oh, you do a little correction on depending on the image. Okay, so then you want to have some of the white flat highlights. Okay, so you could see it clearly here. So that you could use that as a white to gray gradient. So I would mark that as another object. So let's use the pen tool again. So let's trace that. Bends a little. Okay, the white area, it's like overlap the black reflection, and then for the gradient again, so you want to have it as a white solid color, and then probably with a gradient from white to white. Okay, so let's change that to, so now it's grayscale. So I wanna modify it so that it's good. So it's not grayscale. So it's RGB instead. Double click at it. You can switch any color. Okay, so also white to white, but on the left side, opacity 0. Okay, so, and then use the gradient tool to drag that white, border. Okay, so now go back, turn off the first layer, see that reflection. Works pretty well, right? Like the image. Oh, oops, where's the image? Right there. Yeah. So I probably want to have the image on the bottom layer. So sometimes when I turn it off, I could still see what's going on. Okay, so that's the rod. Looks pretty good. Of course, there's like a gradient on the side that's not showing so well on the left side. So I want to fix that. Okay, so probably go to our rod again, the gradient tool, to maybe move the darker area to the left to show more gradient. Maybe I just need, one of these. Yeah, now it's looking good, showing that gradient that you see. And maybe the projector doesn't so well, but like a small gradient area on the left. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good. So I'll leave that. Similar to the gradient on the left of the image. So yeah, I think everything is working well, but I want to have that dark area. I think I did already. So range, bring to front. Okay, so you can see the reflection with the gradient. Okay, so let's work our way up on our upper rod over here where you put your fingers. And also similar to the tile underneath, so we go to, yeah, we probably just add that reflection on the middle. Would look pretty good. Okay, so let's go back to turn on our layers, determine where, if you can see the reflects the highlights, just go to your image, right? And then transparency, like bring up the transparency a little bit more so you could see what's going on. Okay, so lock that. So I want to have that highlight in the shape. So work on the pen tool again. Of course, lock your layer, go to the layer you're working on, and let's trace that highlight. A little bit bend on the tip because it's in different parts. Doesn't matter if you do an overlay on the rings for now because we'll have it covered up. Okay, so let's have that in there. Bring in a little bit of that highlight under, okay, black area. I could bring to front, and then the highlight, I could just use the eyedrop tool, get it, the colors, the gradient from the one underneath. Again, do a little change the direction a little bit because it's a little bit slanted. And let me see if it works all right. Yeah, the gradient tool, see that it works. Oh, it's not working. Wonder why is that? Okay, now it's working. Then you want to change the, oops, not working now. Why is that? Okay. Yep, and that, let me take a look at this shape right here. Yeah, it's complete gradient. So it should be nothing wrong, but I can't really, get that to, oh yeah, it's changed so it actually, oh, because I have it, okay, I know what's wrong. Because I have the image on top. So you really want to turn off that image and then use the eyedrop tool to get your source color, or source length like that. Okay, so I want that shape right there. And yeah, I think that looks good. Turn your image on and then try to move it so that it focus. It should be right there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so let's work on probably on the rings, the one on top. It's in a sort of like a gold type of a reflection, more of a bright gold color. So, but let's get the shapes out first. So let me turn things off, see how everything is going. That looks pretty good. Well, before the ring, let's do the tip. Okay, let's at least have a base to look at. So, so the base would be sort of like a dark plastic, I guess. So to just use the eyedrop tool to, just any part of the base. Let's get that. So it's probably close to black. Yeah, exactly. So let's have everything, since everything is on top of that black shape. So might as well will like use, at this point, I'll probably use the curvature tool to shape out the, you gotta zoom in, okay? So, oh, well, probably not the curvature tool, pen tool, to, get your angles right. So, I want to trace everything because everything works on top of that black. So at this point, you could you don't have to really be at the exact spot since the green will cover up part of the black. So, but the ring area would overlap the black, so you're able to, you don't have to be too precise. So this area right there. So it's a quick trace. So this is what you do when you are dealing with complex objects, something with reflection. Just determine which to do first, and then work your way up and overlaying different parts on top of each other. So that's how you have the shape of the object. I mean, it looks overwhelmed because of all the reflection that you have going on. So this part is gold, I'll just leave that. So I'll have probably at least a base for, this area is another gold color, so you don't have to be exact. Yeah, probably right there. So I have a base for the tip. right? So you work your way up. Okay. So let's turn things off. Take a look what's going on. So yeah, it's sort of getting to its form. So let's work on the rims. Oops. Okay, you want to zoom in at it. Okay, turn your. So if you look at the rim right there, you can see there are like different shapes, minor shapes, like small ones. Determine how many like shapes are there. There's like a couple of. Let's do one base first. Okay, so probably okay, work on the layer. So there's actually like 3-4 sections on the rim. So let's work on the top area first. So want to go to the side over here. It's not. I didn't trace it so well, I guess. Let me take a look. Or did I move it? No, I didn't trace it so well. So right here, you probably want to have it right there. Okay, at this point, I want to I want to trace the round area right there. So some of the black will be covered up. Okay. Sometimes there's like complex objects. So just make your objects simple enough to determine what pieces they are. Okay. Like that area, I just cut off that black area. Doesn't matter. We're gonna add that anyways. So actually, okay. So probably like that. Okay. So turn off the image, and then okay. At this point, you could probably smooth your edges because it's a little bit jiggleish. So let's use there's this tool over here called the smooth tool. It's underneath the pen tool, I guess. Wait. Yeah, this one. It's underneath the the shaper tool. Okay, there's this smooth tool you could use but you have to select the object first. Okay, it's a smooth tool to run over the anchor points. Okay, to make them more, not as edgy. Okay, you might, to smoothen it out up here, also on the edges, so they're a bit more round. Okay, yeah, just like that. So let's have like a base color for that. So let's go to our image on the side again. Okay, you could determine which color as a base. Let's say this one right here, this color right here as a base. So right there you have like a base rim, at least the first piece, and there's a other piece underneath. So you could trace. Of course, this could be a whole piece, right? Okay, yeah, I think it's wiser if it's a whole piece. Okay, so probably, okay, you want to overlap it again. Now, let's make that whole piece. I think it's easier to work with, okay? So go to the side, put it where you think it land. Okay, so I have like so this right here, it does not really meet the side. So I probably have to change something, bring that anchor point up close to the side. Yeah, so that is it. So we have like two pieces. Of course, the first one, since I trace on the border, I could align, bring it to front. Okay, so let's turn it off to see. Actually, there's like two pieces. Okay, so I'll be able to work on the lines. Okay, of course, you could, since they're the same, I could connect to make them one piece, or you could just like trace it as a whole, let's say single piece. Okay, so of course I could do details, but since I'm working on a base piece, so I'll trace the one on top, just to have like a understanding of how your object can pieces. Okay, so I'm going to do this rim since we're having a well, not the rim, but the rod, the tip of the rod, the gold piece right here. Okay, so I use the pen tool again. So you really have to make determinations. Okay, so to judge which goes first. Okay, sometimes uh, I'm pretty much familiar with Illustrator, the software, but sometimes I still make bad judgments of which piece to do first. Okay, so yeah, so that's a whole piece right there. And then do the ring, okay, because it goes on top. So rim, so follow the borders. So at this point, uh, let's say because I've traced the side of the black area already, so this does not have to be, wait, hold on. Let me take a look. Okay, so I do have to trace the side of the uh, black plastic area, so go back to the pen tool again. Okay, so let's start tracing the black area. Make sure it overlaps. So after you're done, your pen should look like 3D-ish. Oops, there's like okay, I guess I've not, let me come, okay, now that works. Okay, so zoom out, take a look at it again. Okay, so I have the rim right here. So that piece worked out pretty good. Look from distance, you can see your pen getting into shape, right? So zoom in. Of course, I could go into more of a detail, but when we're having class, I'll just do a quick one to show you guys how to do it. Okay, so now I have the tip of the pen, this metal part. Okay, so you really have to determine which to trace. I think I did a mistake over here. If you can't see what you're doing, just go to your image on the side, study it a little bit. So actually, it pops out from the opening. So it has this reflection on the plastic part. So I'll probably like trace the whole area with the shadow, work my way up. Okay, so let's go back. If you can see the image, just unlock it, like change the opacity so that you could see what's going on. Okay, so by doing this and then go lock it again, work underneath, and work your way up to that. Okay, so it comes out from the shadows, right there. So that's the side, work your way up. So you can't see it, zoom in, since everything, when you zoom in, will be pixelated. So you could see the difference. So you have to trace that tip. So it's not as hard as you think. You'll be overwhelmed. Of course, you probably have your method. Any method would do. So this is just one of the methods to, trace that bitmap into a. So it's more of a advanced image trace method than our first and second session on the Kumamon and the Lime. It's actually the same thing, but this is more of a realistic type of a object with a lot of reflections. So sometimes when we're dealing with these kind of objects, we just dissect these mini shapes into different pieces. Right. So I want to trace the side. Right there. So I have a whole piece. So the tip, I'll probably let's go and use the eyedrop tool. Go to our image on the side. So I'll probably use let's use that middle area. Let's use that as our middle tone, right? Turn off the top image again to see. So we get our tip. Okay, tip of the pen. Okay. So next I'll be working on small. I'll always get the large pieces first. Okay, then work your way to your to the smallest pieces, and then to the lines. Okay, so let's go back to the rim again, and then work on small pieces, right? So of course, so I'll start with probably that is a piece, and then that is a piece right there. So you could determine on how how many different colors, how many reflections are in that rim, and then depends on how you determine the object, you'll have like many pieces. So I'll probably do the rim, the edges first, right? Because there's like a black edge of that rim. So you don't have to do, of course, the more detail you do, the more realistic it'll be. But sometimes we don't want to overdo it. So it's hard to have you spend a lot of time doing it, but do what we can. Okay, so that piece stands out a lot. So let's just trace that piece right there. So I have like so that it's a different structure. Okay, so I have that dark line, that gap between these two objects.
Sorry.
Oops. Close that. And for the gap color, go to the side, use the eyedrop tool to the image, zoom in closely, and it's close to black, but not a clear, not a, well, it's more reddish. Okay, so reddish black, and turn off the image on top. Yeah, you get that edge, you get that gap, and then work your, each piece by piece. And probably I want to, of course, I could go into detail. I could trace that white edge, but I don't want to do that. That would take too much work, and it's not, you can't really tell. So maybe that piece right there is. So that's one piece there. So this reflection. Okay. Probably just start one over here. Okay, there's one whole piece that's in a different shade, so I would do that first. Sometimes you wind up like having the small ones done first, so it's okay. Just make like rearrange your images, then you'll be all set. So probably this piece right here goes on top. So arrange, bring to front. So before I continue, so I have like a couple of pieces done. So that one. So what you want to do sometimes is that your image is a little bit too far from you. So, so sometimes it's easier when you just, okay, because I have it, okay, I rotated the canvas, so it's not working in a straight, in a vertical angle. So select both of these, clip mask, okay? So you can bring it closer, so it's easier to work on, okay? But you have the image like on top of that, so let's have probably another layer on top of everything, have that reference image on top. So you could like, so the color is right at the side, it's easier to work on. Lock it, go to your, the area you're working on. So the image will, the image on the left will serve as your color palette, okay? So you could like select on the you know, similar object, just pick up its color, like go to the second one, pick up its color right there. This one, right there. Okay. Of course, it could be a gradient if you want to work on the detail. Okay, so but I think it's not really necessary. So we have like these dots in the middle. Zoom in again. Get at least some form of it. So you don't have to like really go into the. If you want, you could, but you know, this is just to show. This is a demonstration of what you could do. Okay. So like that. Okay. As your eyedrop tool and pick up that color again. And let's let's trace that line. Okay, that border in the side. Okay, that's like that. There's this line over here on top that connects these two small objects. And then zoom in. And you want to click on that color. And since the black goes on top of that highlight, so I probably want to do the highlight. Okay, so let's zoom in again. So let's trace that border of highlight. Okay, somehow like this one. Okay, so that would be it. Eyedrop tool, the highlight. And then, yeah, I have like, turn everything off to see how things go. So, of course, now things are looking good. You have like, oh, a little bit of the reflection going on the upper rim, right? So work on the lower rim and the black reflection, right? Okay, so you work piece by piece. Then when you're done, things will look good. So I want to work on the bottom layer again. So you might figure, well, what about all these lines? Or what about all these like overlaps? Of course, you could simplify it. Okay. Oh, I'll do these later. Okay. Let's finish the room first. So I have here, like, let's split this into just, well, 5, 6 pieces. Okay. So that's the base. So I probably have a lighter thing right there. Okay, use that. Then a highlight of the object right there. So you want to zoom in and okay, so it's a little bit of crafts work. So you have to go in and determine piece by piece. Okay. Okay, so yeah, work on the dark pieces. And then the piece on the right. So we have like the start piece right there, which connects to the lower piece. Right. And so we probably have the middle section done. So yeah, it's looking pretty good with all these pieces. You can see the reflection from all these small pieces. And then you have the lower rim to work on. Just little by little. If you look from distance, it's like turning out pretty good. So go to the lower piece. Like, and then, well, after you're done with this, you're an expert in Illustrator. At least, not really Illustrator, but at least you understand how vector graphic works. You could work on any software. Incidentally, for those who are not here, the Affinity Designer is free for all. And if you have issues with Adobe Illustrator, regarding the price, the subscription, you could switch to Affinity Designer. Probably next year I'll probably switch this course to Affinity Designer since it's free. Maybe next year. So determine. So I've not used Affinity Designer yet, so I don't know how well it is. The difference between the functionalities from Illustrator. So let's see. So I have that gap right there. It's not really, in a perfect curve, but gets the job done. Okay, so let's continue with, this is just a quick sketch. So I'm not really going into a lot of detail, but just enough to have you have a illusion of different reflections. I'm sounding like Bob Ross, like talking while I'm explaining what I'm doing while drawing the object. Okay. Any of you know who Bob Ross is? Guess you're all too young. He's a painter on television. Teaches people how to paint. Like during high school, my dad makes me watch Bob Ross a lot, so that got me interested in painting. Drawing, anyways. Yeah, I have these different pieces. Select them and get the colors from my color palette, which is the image on the left. So once in a while, you turn everything off to see what's going on. Okay, what other pieces are needed. Well, I think it's looking nice for now. So that took about an hour. Okay, so that's how you work with the rims, right? Although it's like gold, one in silver, you do it like in different sections, just dissect your image and determine which parts to fill in. Okay, of course I could do more. There's also this gap underneath, the start gap. Let's do that. Okay, so that once you have that gap, your piece would stand out. So this is like more of a advanced course on tracing object. Deal with gradients, deal with gaps, you deal with reflections. But they're just pieces of objects, of lights and reflections. Hey, we have that gap ready, and let's get that right color from our color palette right there. It's more of a grayish green. Yeah, to fill that gap up. Now turn everything off to see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Right? So I have here the silver piece, the gold rim, and the upper silver piece right there. Let's deal with the lines. Okay. So for the lines, you don't really have, if you want to go into detail, of course, you could trace like these small pieces, but it's kind of a big effort. So sometimes to deal with these kind of reflections, right? Like it's just a net. So determine like which, okay, for example, let me do a, let's draw lines, right? For example, this line over here, like that. But have it in, before we do anything, let's have it in a, maybe a grayish color. Let's do lines. Okay, maybe a little bit, maybe 1 pt would be good enough. Then the pen tool, let's do our second line, bend it a little bit, okay. Then third one, bend it a little bit, ESC to quit it, and our next line, let's start bending as an S shape, right? Okay, ESC. Okay, ESC. So start from the left to the right to trace that line up. So, and it bends as an S on the side. ESC. So there's probably maybe around like 15 lines to trace. Mistakenly click on something, so okay, like that. Okay, let's do more tracing of the lines. Okay, next one. Oops. Okay, so I have one side done already, and then work from the right to the left. By the way, this one will probably be the one that we spend most time on this session. I mean, the course for today will be, the rest you won't have to spend so much time because it will be, I wouldn't say easy, but not as much as time spent with this one. This is one you have to go into, detail to trace, parts of objects. So it's not really hard, but time consuming. So I have one more to go. So I have all the net done. But does not really show so well. So I have to like select one of the net because since they have the same stroke color, so I could go to select same stroke color. Okay, so you could select all these like nets, even though that there's like other complicated objects underneath. So if I move it, you could see the net. Okay, so of course I could group it. Okay, and what you want to do is like turn everything off. See the net. So you want to like have like copy the net again, and then copy in place. That's Control Command F, or just go to Edit, Copy in Place, or Copy in Front will also do. Okay, so have that move a little bit lower than the your usual net. Just you probably want to move it just a little bit and change the dark color to a bright color, a brighter color, but not white. Okay, white is too much. Okay, just a lighter gray. Okay, then you'll get that illusion of a that shape of a net object, right? Of course, it's a little bit edgy, so you could go to your stroke panel to make the caps round, okay? So experiment on it. So the white area would be like a reflection of, the gap. Okay, you could like test if like, don't make it too far. So a little bit, like close to the object. Of course, you could bring the lines narrower so it looks nicer. Yeah, so that's how you do the area on top. That looks pretty good, right? So if I have the image on the side, you can see from the distance it looks similar, right? So that's all you need to do, okay? So of course you could go into detail to, to trace out all these different pieces, but don't, this is just a practice, of how you might have things done. So don't work too hard on it. Okay, so now I have the upper rim. Of course, that will be easy since you done the lower rim. The upper rim would, just the same method, and the tip, right? Of course, the rim I'll skip because I did the rim already. So I'll do the tip of the pen. Of course, to go into detail, you could have like all these lines all traced out. But if you find it too hard or not able to, go into such a detail, just leave it. Okay, just the metal part would do. Okay, for this practice. So if all these like carvings on the tip is too like hard for you, so just leave that alone. Okay, but do what you can. Okay. Okay, so you could tell actually the carvings you could work just like the net area. So you don't have to like go in and trace, object by like color pieces by color pieces. You could just like trace the structure and have, a, just duplicate it, make a lighter or darker version, then overlap it, like off scale it, like move it on the side a little bit to give it more depth. Then you'll be all set. You see, this piece by piece, you're getting uh the shapes. So this takes like, well, in order to do everything, just around like about 2 hours, a little bit more maybe. So you see, I have the tip, and now I have this the rim and some, of course, some details. So it's not as hard as you think after you like once you have the practice. The hard part is determining like which small piece to to create. Especially the upper room, because since it's like round, like don't look at this as a as a round like object. It's a flat image with strange shape. Just make sure you trace the shapes out. You'll be all done. The hard part is determining which which shape to make. Like this area, it's a little bit difficult. So you have to sometimes simplify stuff. So if there's like too much, if it's a mess of an object, just determine that area as one object. Okay. So there's like a mix of uh, like a calling and the shapes because it's blend in a curve. So just have it into one object. Okay, so that reflection turned out pretty good. So now I'll work on the middle area. Hey, I have the upper rim, I'll say done. So, except for the carvings on the tip, I'm almost done. So you can see the close resemblance of the of my pen. So that took, yeah, a little bit, 1.5 hours or so. Of course, I could go into more detail, but I think as for now, it's looking pretty good. Of course, I could have the carvings done, of course, but I think that would do for me. So then go back to its original position, hold down the shift key to and the rotate wheel to have it, position where it's supposed to be, and then turn the other layers off. And that's my pen, right? So of course you could, like if you select everything, you see all these different pieces. Yeah, so that's how you trace a reflective object. Of course I could go to detail, but I think that's enough work for today. So not as hard you think, just to get the pieces together. Okay, just a reminder for those of you who are just in, and well, it's late. Let me explain a little bit on the finals. So I have here a final presentation upload area. Okay, so you're supposed to do a A4 two-pager portfolio. Well, more than two pages, all right. In PDF format. Okay, so after you're done, you're supposed to come up here and do a 5-minute presentation in English. Okay, that goes for all students. And if you click on the attachment, it'll show a different color sessions, right? So you look for your name, and then look on the left to see which day you present. Okay, so pretty easy. Look for your name. We have like 4 weeks of presentation. We have a large class, almost 80 students. Actually 77 or 76 students. So each week, 20 will present. The last week was a little bit less, 16 will present. But each week, 20. So each of you take 20 minutes to take up the whole course, right? So each one 5 minutes, yeah, 20 students. So go and check which day you present, okay? So I'm going to repeat this in Chinese, okay? 好，各位同学哈，那个期末考哈，你们在作业这边可以看到，就是 final presentation， 这个是你们要上传你们期末作业，然后有一个这个表哈，点进去的话，你去找你的名字，你的名字上面有左边有你哪一天要报告哈，报告是5分钟英文哈，用英文报告，在我现在这个座位拿麦克风哈。然后你报告要什么东西呢？就是你做的自介和自我简介的这个内容。那这内容是 A4 哈，2页以上啊，2页就好了，2页以上也可以啊。然后那个就是用 Illustrator 来编辑，或是向量软体来编辑你的就是自介啊，像什么你的就你找工作都要那个什么简介嘛，你的简介啊，对，那检验内容是什么呢？都可以哈。像你找工作，你会介绍什么东西吗？你的名字、你的相关的自我的一些内容，然后跟一些作品集之类的哈，看你怎么表现哈。那这会牵扯到一些排版啊之类的，自由发挥啊，没有一个特定的格式啊。
你看那个，中国人的那个，评测是比较是这个是。
一家教会。
好。
因为这些节奏，每个人都会他跟我，他跟我发生这个事。要让我画法分。画。
慢慢加。然后你就照着，你都给你，放在后面慢慢粘，慢慢。我们第一个你可以选。我现在了解。要我的后面找这个是吗？你要不太高，没有。干嘛？那个大了。我可以讲用那个对对对，就特别有意思。好好好。这个限制大人拿下来的。基本上他是会是就是这个系统，这个上的他把这个图用这，然后把这个改成这种。然后我的数学是
我觉得研究一下还是比较有威力的。